So David Valentin is the principal at Liaison Strategies. He is one of the number crunchers we're talking to right now. Normally we talked about poll numbers when it comes to politics, but you've sort of taken a look at what the city is going to get from the Taylor Swift shows versus what it may get from the World Cup. And it's quite a stark contrast. I'll let you paint the picture.
It's a very big contrast, primarily because the city of Toronto is paying $300 million for the World Cup and is, of course, paying $0 for Taylor Swift. And on the one hand, you have the World Cup. It's supposed to bring in about $307 million of GDP. So that's all benefits, included. And then you've got Taylor Swift. We saw lots of studies in America about how much she's contributing to their economy. The Federal Reserve talking about how much she's bringing in. Record-breaking hotel occupancy rates. So we estimate it's actually $420 to $440 million of GDP.
For all 6 shows?
For all 6 shows. So it's substantially more, and it's a better deal for the city because, of course, we're not paying Taylor Swift a single dollar.
Yeah, and you also broke down the number of people in attendance at each of the soccer game versus at a Taylor Swift show, and it just works out to more bums and seats at a Taylor Swift concert.
It's more bums and seats, but also she's doing one more show than we are supposed to receive World Cup matches right now. So we're going to receive 6 Taylor Swift shows, 5 World Cup matches. But even if you look at it at a per-show basis, she's still punching far above the World Cup's weight.
It's interesting because the argument from the World Cup Toronto side is that this is a global event, gives the city global exposure, that kind of a thing. Is there not a number you can put on the global exposure side that is perhaps different from Taylor Swift on a world tour and she's here, Detroit, Nashville, etc.?
I think it's interesting about the global exposure because it's so hard to quantify. But also, this is a very interesting World Cup. They're playing more matches than they ever have before. So the excitement around any particular match is diminished a little bit. But also, there's so many cities that are hosting matches. I think it would be different if this was like the Vancouver Olympics, right? Where everything was in Vancouver. It was branded Vancouver. You had the Vancouver Olympics mascot. In this particular case, you have every city, including Vancouver, hosting matches. So I don't know how much publicity there really will be and if people will really understand it.
That's an interesting point. Another interesting thing that you raise is that these Taylor Swift concerts are happening in November, which is typically a low season in Toronto. Not many visitors come in November, so that's going to be a huge boost to our hotels, our restaurants, everything else.
I think people should start bracing for 100% occupancy rate or something very close to it. Because there's a lot of people who are coming, not just from the United States and not just from other parts of Canada, but from all over the world for this show. And it'll be the same for the World Cup, of course. People will come from all over the world. But you're right. If they come in the summer, we're already busy in the summer. Toronto's a big tourist destination. There's a lot of tourism that happens in this city. In November, especially late November, not as many people are coming. So it's actually a lot better that we're getting these shows then. She couldn't have picked a better time to help out the city. So,
David, are you advocating for the city to just pull out of the World Cup? Like, is that what you're suggesting they should do? And do you think they would listen and do it?
Well, it's $300 million to do this. And we talk about the $307 million GDP that we're expecting. That's not $307 million to the city. Right, cities are very likely to lose 90% or more of the money that it's putting out. And so in the context of we need money for shelters, we need money for transit, we need money for housing, I don't know how the city justifies spending this money and at the same time goes to the federal and provincial governments and says, hey, we're broke. If you really are broke, you have to start getting rid of luxury items. You have to start cutting back, being a little more financially responsible in some respects. So I think they should take a look, see if the cancellation fees merit canceling. And it's better to save, even if we lose $200 million, at least we save $100 million. So I think you really have to ask yourself, the city's asking the federal government 40, 60, 80 more million dollars for shelter housing. If you could find all of that money just in canceling the World Cup, I think that's a good thing to look at. I think it's
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting perspective. Thanks for crunching the numbers with us and bringing, attention to this comparison. David Valentin, principal at Liaison Strategies. Appreciate your time. We'll chat with you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.